wild times at the moment. Must be so weird having kind of maybe being one of the busiest men in the game to having kind of a quieter time.
Yeah, it's very strange times, man. It is very strange times. It's weird not to be. I was supposed to be in Ohio, like I believe it was last weekend for the UFC with Khalil, and obviously that didn't happen. And yeah, it's just extremely strange times. I think that everybody is just kind of like, in the same boat. Obviously, the MMA world and the combat sports has been extremely affected by it, but so has, so many other. I think everyone's life in the world, it has been affected in some way. And just having to stay at home and things like that is, so what we're not used to in today's civilization. So, yeah, it is definitely strange times.
How are you dealing with it? Have you had a chance to kind of reflect on the last few years? Because I feel like it must have been a total whirlwind for you. Loads of traveling, a lot of glory, a lot of grit, a lot of hard work, and everything's, you've been a busy guy, right? And so are you reflecting on all the stuff you've achieved in the last few years?
I wouldn't say that I'm definitely busy, but I wouldn't say that I've been reflecting on it. I'm ready to, for obviously the world to heal from this and things to get better so that we can go back to our normal lives and, we can continue to do the things that we've been doing and chase the goals that we have, because everything's just kind of come to a screeching halt. But I'm really not one to dote on like achievements and things like that. I guess I'm ready, honestly, for life to get back to normal and people to be safe and to be able to travel safely and keep the ball moving where we left off at, honestly. So yeah, I haven't really taken the time to reflect. I guess this time I've just been trying to to do what I can with the time that I have and enjoy my family and play with my daughter. And I've started running again every day, and I haven't ran in probably well over a year. Most of the time I'm just holding pads and training people and traveling. So it's been nice to be able to try to run and to get back into shape and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm bored. I'm trying to learn some new things and stuff like that, and continue to put videos out for my brother and I from Hickman Brothers and just do things like that to stay busy. But yeah, I would say that I'm ready to keep going with what we've been doing and winning fights and continue to climb.
So you're not one to really look back and dwell on achievements, but is there anything that you've been proud of? Because you got a lot of champions, you got world champions at the gym, you got people fighting in different disciplines, and it seems like a really great time for Tiger and you guys specifically as well. But is there any kind of one fighter you're most proud of, or one fight, or one thing that you're really pleased with?
I wouldn't say that there's one fighter that I'm pleased with all the fighters for the most part, and I'm pleased with the coaching staff that I have around me. And I think that I guess I would say that I'm proud of where we're not there yet, but I'm proud of where we're going and where we're headed. I can see, and I think the rest of the coaching staff that I have around me, I think we all pretty much have the same vision and same goals, and I think we're more than ever on the same page with each other as far as what we're trying to achieve, and I think we're on the right path. So I guess I'm proud of that. I'm proud of like I said, the coaching staff that I have and where we're at, but not where we're at, where we're headed.
That was an interesting story. Dan Hooker told me when I spoke to him before his Felder fight about the Tiger Muay Thai tryouts, because I think that's been amazing, and so many top-level fighters have come through the tryouts. But I think, as he tells it, he was already a UFC fighter, and he didn't make it to the tryouts the first time he tried. But then once he was in the UFC, they said he didn't have to try out, he could just come to Tiger. But he said, no, that's not how I work. And he went into the tryouts anyway and ended up winning it. Were you there for that? What was your take on that? I thought that was just pretty impressive look into his mindset a little bit?
Oh yeah, I share that story. Dan's an awesome guy. He's a hell of a fighter, and he's an awesome guy as well. And at that point is when I think I had first kind of like became like the head coach at that time. Was a little bit before that time, but I was still relatively a new like coach by myself. And I remember like I had already known Dan a little bit, not that well, but enough to speak to him and have a conversation with him. And when he came, I remember telling him like, look, mate, you're in the UFC, like you don't have anything to prove. You don't have to do this if you don't want to. And he was adamant. He wanted to do it, and not only did he do it, but he as a UFC fighter performed well above everyone else. And but I thought that was a true like testament to his character of just what type of guy he is. And not only did he blow everything that we put in front of him out of the water, but he also lifted everybody else up with him that was around him, and was very motivating, I think, for all the other contestants in the tryouts that year to, really motivated them to do well. When you see a guy like that, like Dan Hooker, that's already in the UFC, crushing the workouts and then motivating other people along the way, I think that's just a testament to his character. So that was pretty cool to see. And just the whole relationship that we have with not only Dan, but Brad Riddell, the former kickboxing coach at Tiger, Alex Volkanovski, who was also in the tryouts the year that I was in it in 2014, Kai Kara of France. We have a very close relationship. And then my brother goes over there to help like Israel and a lot of the fighters prepare for their fights now as well. So it's just a really great relationship that we have between City Kickboxing and Tiger Muay Thai.
How cool is it as a head coach to have those structures in place? I think the tryouts are probably one of the key elements that make Tiger what it is. And also I think the barbecue beatdown is incredible. I've only been to one, but having that in place and being able to give people a platform, it's kind of like a little bit of a see if they sink or swim. It gives people fights, which is so difficult at times for up and coming fighters to get fights. And it also kind of seems to bring the gym together and create that kind of community vibe, which is cool. But how important are those two things in making Tiger what it is, do you think?
The barbecue beatdown is it's evolved over the years. It's definitely changed a bit in the 6 years that I've been here, but I think that it's more like, because we do have some people sometimes that are amateur that if we can't find fights for them, we can put them in the barbecue against a customer who also has some amateur experience. So it's good for that. But I think more than anything, it's just part of the tradition at Tiger, and it's been going on since they first opened, and it really is just once a month a time for the customers to come and meet a lot of the coaches outside of teaching classes and have a beer and hang out and watch the fights together. And it's really a good time. And I know that like it definitely could be monotonous and get old because we do it the last Saturday of every month, but it really isn't. All of our, for the most part, like all of the MMA staff and everybody, we all go and have a good time, have a couple beers and hang out and watch the fights and get into it and hang out with the Thais as well, which is pretty cool to do as well outside of just working hours. But I think more than anything with the barbecue, it's just a great atmosphere for the customers to be able to mingle with all the coaching staff and the different Thai trainers and stuff outside of actually just training. So it's pretty cool in that sense. And I think the tryouts, because this gym is, so different, it's very different. We're coaches from another country living in this country, and coaching here, and all of our fighters outside of, the Thais, which is 99% of the fighters that we have, are from other countries as well that come here to do their camps or, whatever it may be. But the tryouts have, I think now if you look at the tryouts, it's the success that, some of those people have had. For example, Alex Volkanovski. I mean, obviously you can look at Kai and Dan and other guys, but Alex Volkanovski came in 2014 with me. We did the tryouts together, and we both made the team. And I think I started coaching not long after that. But you look at a guy like Alex Volkanovski, who, has a great head coach back home. I just don't think that he had the training partners and stuff that he's gotten at Tiger, and now that he gets at City Kickboxing as well. But it was a great opportunity for someone like him to come here and really, have great coaches, but also have really great training partners. Being around in a room with high-level training partners is a great thing. And at Tiger, not only do you have high-level training partners, but you have guys from all over the world. So you get different looks from everybody. Just like Brad Riddell when he fought Mustafayev in New Zealand, he had already seen styles like that so many times just from training at Tiger. And I think he said that as well in a couple of interviews. But it's true, you see all kinds of different styles. But for Volk to win the tryouts, to win all these belts on all these like different smaller promotions, around Southeast Asia and whatnot in Australia, then to get his shot at the UFC and then to beat everybody and become the champion is pretty incredible. And I think that for us, every time that he fought leading up to the title, including when he fought for the title, my brother was there with him in his corner. None of us ever had a doubt that he would be the UFC champion. I think a lot of other people, didn't know him that well. He's not a big shit talker and stuff like that, but there was never a doubt in my mind that he would win the belt. Even when he fought Mendez and I think he got dropped in one round, I didn't have any doubts at all. I knew he would come back. And I think that it just shows you how, beneficial it can be to go through the trials and then to be able to literally just live and train like a professional fighter. Because let's be honest, anywhere else in the world, I would say outside of countries that are, it doesn't take a lot to, financially to survive, like in Thailand. If you have a room and you're fighting and you're getting a little bit of money, it's not easy by any means. You're still, grinding and trying to make it as a professional fighter. But it's the one place, if you have a meal plan and a room and a visa and stuff like that, that you can really focus on training and getting better. And I think we've seen that with a lot of the fighters that have come out of the tryouts.
Yeah, dude, his title fight was unbelievable. I love that fight. I have to say, it feels to me a little bit with everything that's going on. I'm from a background in covering soccer, so it feels kind of like the off season. You know what I mean? I feel like everything that took place before this was last season, and everything that takes place after it is next season. It's kind of how I'm thinking, anyway. All right, just last couple things. Anybody who's like one to watch, who people should look out for that maybe is a little bit less heralded, but who you've really been impressed with, who are going into this new season or whatever is going to make a bit of a splash, you think?
We have a lot of fighters that are, I think that are not that well known, that are, there's going to be that when we come back from this, that we'll see, kind of break out. But I think one fighter that, people that are in Asia or follow Asian MMA are already familiar with, and that's Top Noi, who's quite the showman. But I think that he's when we come back from this, I have a lot of confidence in him to, he's had a couple close fights in Ryzen that he's lost after he won his first one. And I think that he's been kind of, you talk about off season and stuff, and in wrestling, in a wrestling background from college, it was always said that that you make a lot of gains in the off season, i.e. after the national tournament stuff, when we start wrestling freestyle and Greco and stuff like that, that's when you make a lot of gains. And in the summertime, and Top has not fought in quite some time. Ryzen hasn't been able to get him an opponent on any of the recent shows. We were thinking he was going to fight here recently, but obviously with the COVID stuff happening, that kind of nixed that. But he's been he's a very talented kid, and he's sometimes loses focus a bit in training. And he's, it's weird because you talk about fighting and stuff, and that kid has fought for the Rajadamnern belt twice in Muay Thai and lost both times, but was top ranked at Rajadamnern, has, well over 150 fights. So sometimes getting through his thick skull is a bit hard, but I think that in the last 4 months or so, he's really put in a lot of effort, and he's been training hard. He's even when usually, we always joke with him and tell him he's lazy, and that's I have no problem saying that. But even a lot of times when I'll travel and go away for other fighters, he will skip out on a day or two that I'm going of practicing, and he has been good, and he hasn't been doing that. So I think he's finally realized, the opportunity that he has and the skill set that he has for MMA, and it's really shown recently, and I'm proud of him. And I think when we come back from this and everything gets back to normal and we're having fights again, I think that we're going to see a top Muay 2.0. So I'm excited about that.
He's a super exciting fighter, man. I remember his first knockout in Ryzen was quality, and used to fight in Full Metal Dojo as well, I think. So he's an interesting one.
Yeah, I think Ryzen said one time he is the Thai version of Conor McGregor, which is funny. He's quite the showman, and he really enjoys that, and he stresses me out when I'm at those events because I have no idea what he's going to do. But he's definitely fun to watch, that is for sure. Win or lose, he's always going to. That's one thing about him, I can say, whether he's trained his ass off or he was slacking in training, when he comes to fight, he comes to fight. So yeah, I'm excited to see what the future holds for him. I think he's really made a turning point in his career, and I'm excited to see what he's going to do.